ask, how was going on Joe Rogan? He's a hero of mine and inspiration,
Oh,
and
nice.
I'd love to dive deeper on Joe Rogan and what that experience was like as a guest perspective.
Yeah, man. It was cool. It was a little bit surreal, but it was also very comfortable. Obviously, I chatted with him before. We follow each other on social media, so we DM from time to time, which is kind of cool in itself.
That's
But
badass.
you know, but I've been listening and watching his show for a couple of years. So in a way, just like you probably feel like you already know him, just like we've never met in person, but you probably feel like you know him, right?
For
So
sure.
if we did meet, you'd probably be a bit like, oh whoa, like this is Zuby, but you'd also be like, oh, this is kind of familiar. Like I know this guy, right? So it was kind of like that. So when I met him, so I actually showed up early. He was running a bit late. He was like 20 minutes late. So he sort of came in, and then he just was like, I was talking to some of, he's got like a very small team, and I was just there with the security and stuff. And um, yeah, he just came, and hey, what's up, brother? Like, great to see you. How was the trip? Welcome to LA, da da da. And then we went in there, and I was like, oh, I'm in the room. This is when he had his old studio in LA. Like the room that I'm used to seeing on my screen. And oh, there's young Jamie right there, right?
Oh my
And
god.
I'm like, so it was kind of surreal. But the very beginning of the podcast, hopefully it doesn't come across too much in the podcast, but the beginning I was a little bit not like I don't really get like nervous or shook or whatever, but I was just a bit like not totally loose. It's kind of
Yep.
like, oh whoa, like, and also just being cognizant of how many people are going to hear this. So I'm like also kind of like, okay, don't say anything like super stupid, like don't. But at the same time, you don't want to be like boring and not have any personality or whatever. So after a while, it took a little. I think the second half of the podcast is actually better because I think it was a bit more like loose and open, and the conversation was more interesting, etc. But yeah, man, it was a really cool experience. Like I said, it was comfortable, but it was also a bit surreal, and it was also weird because in that same week, I did in the same week I did Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Fox News. I did like a whole bunch of them like all in one week, and I'd never even been to LA before. So it's like I touched down in LA and suddenly I'm meeting all these people, and then and when I finished the Joe Rogan episode, the next guest was Neil deGrasse Tyson. So I come out and he was like, "You're a smart young man." It was like the first thing he said to me because he'd been listening
No
to the
way.
podcast live, right? He was like,
No
"You're a smart
way.
young man," and so like I'm just there with Neil deGrasse Tyson and Joe Rogan, and we're just talking and like hanging out, and I'm just kind of like, this is, I'm just like, this is so trippy. And then the next day it's like you're with Dave Rubin, and then the next day I'm with Ben Shapiro and the guys at the Daily Wire, and I'm just like, man, this is dope. This is cool.